Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154. We're here on the Overlord map in the Tier 7 Russian tech tree tank destroyer, the SU-100M1. We're on a mission at the moment, specifically Union-15 for the this is chasing the honours condition for the Excalibur. So that's the first tank on the road to the Object 279E. Beyond that, we're not quite there yet. So we've already met all our primary conditions. We've already unlocked the Excalibur, so just going for those honours conditions so we can pick up those orders that are just so crucial to giving yourself an easier time when you're doing the harder missions down the track. We're fortunately in a sort of 6-7 matchup, which is going to work to our advantage somewhat. And of course, it doesn't help that we have an absolute beast of a machine here in the SU-100M1. It's 100mm main armament, does an average 250 damage per shot, penetrates an average 212mm of armor, and you can change up to an APCR round and get through 250mm of armor, which is more than enough penetration to deal with anything on this particular team. Probably played a little bit too aggressively to start with, and as we now sort of have to retreat back to a position of comfort, as we now have two enemy heavy tanks pointed at us from downrange. I don't think that's the top gun on that T-29, so he's going to be somewhat disadvantaged. The VK-3001P, it's sort of more of a big medium tank than a heavy tank, so we're not too concerned about that. So far we haven't taken any damage. In fact, we've blocked over 1400, so we're really making the armor best use of the armor on this vehicle. Just for trivia's sake, the front of the superstructure has got 240mm of effective armor, and then the upper frontal plate, the nose of the vehicle, you getting about 205mm of armor, which is more than adequate to deal with standard rounds that are being spat out by most sort of tier 6 and 7 vehicles. You do need to be a little bit cautious about the lower frontal plate. You only get sort of 150-160mm of effective armor. So even while a lot of tier 6s are going to struggle to penetrate it, you do have to make some effort to keep it protected. But we're using the horrendous sort of rate of fire and consistency of penetration with the standard rounds to sort of carve up some of these tier 6 vehicles that are doing their best to try to face us. But I mean, look at this. Even the turret facing of the OI is no match for the rounds that are coming out of this thing, and we're already over 3000 damage. But we have taken a very serious hit from the OI with this AP round. It must have been that connected with the hull there. So we'll need to be playing a little bit carefully for the rest of this match. I guess that's one of the key downsides of the SU-100M1. You only have 850 hit points to play with, so you can't take too many. While you can bounce the hits, once you start taking the hits, that can be not great for your health. Not great for your longevity in the battle, just from having such a small hit point pool. So there are at least 2 enemy tanks in this area that we're aware of. We can see the T-3485M's actually dropped off the cliff and has gone down to brawl with the T-150. That kind of been the softest landing that they had, but wouldn't have been a soft landing at all. So feeling a little bit confident. We can see we've got our friendly T-29 backing us up, and that's Ebony Destroyer. So hopefully between us we can start to take the fight to the enemy. Scores are still very much in our favour. We're 5 tanks up and about 2,500 hit points. So every bit of that is going to count. I certainly didn't want to push this T-29 alone, and fortunately that initial hit from Ebony Destroyer had gotten SU-100M1 in his T-29 to a point that that the SU-100 could conceivably send it back to the garage. The last of their light tanks, the AMD 178B, is also out of play, and so we just have 2 tank destroyers left. The AT-15A we know about. The what's the other one? A French thing. We haven't seen that one yet, so hopefully that's not going to surprise us. We'll see how we go. The AT-15A appears to be blocking a few of the shots coming down range from the 85M and the IKV. Very well armoured tank as well. Okay, so we've found the last enemy tank destroyer, the AMX AC-46. So we've sort of given up on trying to push the AT-15A out of that position. We're able to land some penetrating hits on the AMX AC-46, however. So just trying to move to minimise our target profile and take a hit to the gun from the AMX AC-46, but in a shot that had it penetrated, we would have been back in the garage. Now we're able to get a slightly better angle on the AT-15A. We're out of standard rounds, so we've really got no choice except to fire the gold. And yeah, this is sort of... I'm pretty sure this was after the version 1.13 update, so a high explosive, probably not too much of a sensible choice there. But anyway, that's victory for this team. Let's have a look at the results. So for our efforts, we've been able to knock over that final honours condition for Union-15.1 for the glory of the Union, which required you to pick up a mastery badge in either a Chinese or Russian tank 3 times. And so this was actually our 3rd completion, so very glad to have kicked that over, and that actually covers us off for all of the honours conditions for the Excalibur. So we'll be on our way into the Chimera missions next. We've also picked up a couple of Epic and Battle Heroes medals as well, between the Cool-Headed medal for surviving 10 non-penetrations. We've picked up the Steel Wall medal for receiving the most hits, at least 11, and counting for at least 1,000 hit points of damage. So you won't pick up Steel Wall if you get sprayed in the face by a Panzer 2J, for example. And of course the High Caliber medal, where we've taken account of at least 20% of the enemy hit point pool and accounting for at least 1,000 hit points of damage again, which we've kind of done in spades here, having inflicted nearly 4,600 damage. A few other badges of merit here as well. Bruiser for damaging enemy modules at least 5 times, which would appear to have done 7 times here. Duelist for destroying at least 2 enemy vehicles that have caused damage to our vehicle in the battle. And geez, there were some gnarly fights there, sort of against the likes of the OI, the T-29, and the VK-3001P earlier in the game. We've got the Fighter medal for destroying 4 to 5 enemy vehicles, which we've been able to seal the upper limit of that one. Fire for effect, where you're doing more damage to enemy vehicles than the hit points of your vehicle, which at nearly 4,600 damage, we've smashed that requirement. And shell proof for having total damage blocked by armor exceeding the hit points of your vehicle, which with nearly 2,300 damage blocked, we've more than satisfied that requirement as well. Looking at the team scores, we were quite well supported that game. We have our T-3485M Uryu has come away with over 2,500 damage and 2 heads. Tasty Pumpkin from the Noel clan has come away with nearly 1,500 damage and 2 kills. Notable mentions on the enemy team, we've got the AMX AC MLE 46. They did quite well, scoring over 1,800 damage, and they sort of spent a lot of the game, from what we could tell, shooting down range on the beach. Dark July from Not So Serious clan has been able to come away with over 1,500 damage in his T-34-85M, and Core 189 in the Stridsvagn M42-57 has come away with nearly 1,400 damage. So particularly for the latter two, not a bad effort at all, achieving that in a Tier 6 tank in a 6-7 matchup. Looking at the detailed report, we can see our fairly static positioning meant we weren't trying to do too many shots on the move or attract too much dispersion. Most of our fighting was done from a fairly static position, mostly just rotating the hull or sort of some minor movements around, engaging targets at sort of short to medium range. So there weren't too many opportunities for our shells to bloom out and run away on us. So for our 24 shots fired, we've made 23 connections with the enemy, of which 21 of those hits actually penetrated, and thanks largely to the 212 millimeters of penetration on the main armament, and firing it against a lot of sort of Tier 6 targets that just really weren't equipped for that sort of abuse. The credit position, we've come away quite handily with 65,000 has come in from knocking over that Union-15.1 mastery condition. Despite a couple of premium rounds fired, the ammunition bill wasn't too horrendous. You notice we were auto resupplying consumable. I have a fairly sort of stock crew on it. I think if they're lucky, they've managed to knock over basic training, and I haven't put any subsequent skills or perks on them. So I was running food there just to try to keep them in the competition. But overall, in spite of that mission's payout, still would have been quite a healthy credit position to have come away with. And if you'd like to see one of your replays featured on World of Tanks with PR154, please reach out over Discord, give us a shout, and we'll do our best to sort you out. In the meantime, take care out there.